Yo, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the After the Whistle podcast. I am your host, Owen Tomko. I know you're seeing something strange about me today. I am wearing a Chargers hat. I've not suddenly changed from a Seahawks fan to a Chargers fan just because they won against the Raiders. I do like the Raiders, not as a team. I like them this year though, as a quote analyst now. But I don't know. I just pulled it out and kind of matches the black, so. But we have an interesting show for you today. We're going over the conference championship predictions. All those games are happening tomorrow. We actually have a game happening in less than an hour now. It is the Pac-12 championship game. But we also have two NFL games that are going to happen tomorrow. So I got to go over those. I'm thinking about doing an NFL show after this one, just so tomorrow I can truly focus just on college. Because that is my favorite. If I had to pick NFL or college for the rest of my life, it is college. I just like the atmosphere way better. I like the players. I do like the players in the NFL though. Okay, so this will be a hopefully not a long episode, but I'll try and not talk for 10 years on each game. Our first game is the 3-2 Oregon Ducks taking on number 13, the USC Trojans at 5-0. Over under this game 65.5, and the spread is 3 in favor of USC. So originally this was supposed to be Washington who was taking on USC. Washington had the second best record in the Pac-12, but they declined their opportunity to play because they didn't have enough scholarship players actually. So they didn't decline it. They couldn't field a team. They couldn't field 53 scholarship players. So that put Oregon into the Pac-12 championship game. Over in this game, 65.5, I will say, since it's a Pac-12 game, I do love me some Pac-12 games. The SC game went way over last week. It went over by like 19. And the last two Pac-12 games have been over, the two that I predicted last week. So I will take the over again. It's going to be a high-scoring game. USC has an explosive offense. I'm not gonna lie here. I thought they should have lost that game. It was poor game management by Chip Kelly as the head coach for the UCLA Bruins. Should have beat them. Really should have. Kind of blew that game and then gave up two big plays in 30 seconds for them to go down and score. So that's how they lost. They lost by 5. Oregon has had its rough year. There were 2 losses. One was to Oregon State and one was to Cal, I do believe. Oregon did end up beating UCLA. They did beat Washington State, I think, and somebody else. But I don't see, like I said, I don't see Oregon winning this game. The spread is 3 in favor of USC. I will see. I don't want. It's hard for me to predict this game, even though I have to. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I don't want USC to win, and a bunch of my friends are Oregon fans, and I don't want them to win either. I do like Oregon, though, but I do think they're going to lose. I think SC is too good this year. The fact that they're 13 in the country kind of makes me a little uneasy, because they are 5-0. But, yeah, so long story short, USC does win. I think Kedon Slovis continues his really good year. Over in this game, 65.5. I will take the over, and the spread is favored in 3 of USC. I will take the over. I will take them to cover. So actually, here we go on to our NFL games. We have 2 NFL games tomorrow. I have fit them in, so the top game's Friday, bottom 2 game, or the rest of the games are Saturday. So it is the Buffalo Bills, the 10-3 Buffalo Bills, headed to Denver to take on the 5-8 Denver Broncos. Over into this game is 49, and the spread is 5 in favor of Buffalo. I do see Buffalo winning, even though I will say Denver will play them very, very tightly. Denver came off a close defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs last week. They looked pretty good against Kansas City. So if they can continue that I can see them winning the game. I don't think they're going to win the game. That's why I'm taking Buffalo. Over in this game is 49. I will take the over, and I will take Buffalo to cover. On to our next game, you have the 4-9 Carolina Panthers headed to Green Bay to take on the 10-3 Green Bay Packers. Over in this game is 51.5. I will take the over, and the spread is 8 in favor of Green Bay. I would take Green Bay to cover as well. Carolina, I think, is missing Christian McCaffrey again this week. So you have Mike Davis as the starting running back. Green Bay has just been unstoppable on offense. Aaron Jones has had a decent year, but Devontae Adams is having a career year for him, even though that's what you expect from a top tier, arguably top 5 wide receiver in the league. Rodgers is playing at an MVP level, honestly. If you would have told me it would have been Aaron Rodgers in the MVP race, I would have called you crazy at the beginning of the year. I do think Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but I didn't see him getting here. So congrats to him. I do wish Russell Wilson would win it though, as a Seahawks fan. Of course, that's biased right there, but you know. So we are going back to our conference championship game. So the last one was the Pac-12 conference championship game that is happening in an hour. Now we move on to the Big Ten conference championship game. We have the number 14 Northwestern Wildcats headed to, I think it's Ford Field is where they're headed to. No, they're headed to Indianapolis. So they're playing at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis for their conference championship game. They are taking on number 4 Ohio State, who is 5-0. Northwestern enters the game 6-1. Dude, as much as I want Northwestern to win out of bias, Ohio State's gonna rip them. Northwestern has one of the worst offenses in the country. They really can't get anything going on offense, and Ohio State is just gonna have a field day. Mind you, Northwestern's defense has been decent. I just don't think it'll be able to stop Justin Fields and those guys. Over on this game is 55.5. I'll take the over, and the spread is 18.5 in favor of Ohio State. I will take them to cover. I do see them winning by more than 18.5. I know that's crazy. It's a crazy line, but there's some interesting lines coming down. So I will say Ohio State does win, which if they win, they are, as much as it pains me to say it, they are a lock into the college football playoff. I will take the over, and I will take them to cover. So I don't see much hope for Northwestern. On to our next game. You have Oklahoma. Number 10 Oklahoma at 7-2 headed to, I don't know where this game's being played. I'd have to look it up. But they are headed to take on number 6 Iowa State, who is 8-2. Yes, and a 2-loss team is number 6 in the country. I will get to Florida later, but Florida dropped 1 spot last week after losing to LSU. Oklahoma is favored in this game. So the over on this game is 58. God, take the over. It is a Big 10 or Big 12 championship game against 2 really high-powered offenses, and I know Oklahoma, and they don't play defense. The spread is 6 in favor of Oklahoma. No. I like Iowa State this week against Oklahoma. They've had such a good offense. Sorry, somebody knocked on the door. Iowa State has had such a good offense this year. They have an unbelievable rusher in Hall. I don't know his first name. He has 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns on 222 carries. Not to mention they have a pretty good receiver in Hutchinson, 612 yards, 4 touchdowns on 50 receptions. Not to mention they have Brock Purdy. This game is being played at AT&T Stadium, actually. So it's being played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Over in this game, 58. I will take the over. I do think Iowa State wins. So I will say they do pull off an upset and they do cover. I just think they're the better team here. Oklahoma does have a really, really good team led by Spencer Rattler, but I don't see them stopping Iowa State. So I will take Iowa State to win, I will take the over, and I will take Iowa State to cover. On to arguably, not even arguably, it is the best conference championship game this year, and out of no bias, it is number 3 Clemson taking on number 2 Notre Dame at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Headed to Charlotte, where the Carolina Panthers do end up playing football. Clemson entered this game number 3 in the country at 9-1, and Notre Dame enters this game number 2 in the country at 10-0. Over in this game's 60 over. Last game scored 87. It went into double overtime, so it probably would have only been like 60 or something last time, but it went into double overtime. They scored 40, 47, so 87. Here's where it's the line has been crossed. The line has been drawn and the line has been crossed. The spread is 10.5 in favor of Clemson. Now, I know I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I know you're going to watch this and think, oh, well, this kid's a Notre Dame fan, so he's going to say, oh, this is outrageous. I mean, what's not to be outrageous about? Okay, so Trevor Lawrence is back. They got back a linebacker and a defensive tackle. Okay, so what? We put up 47 points on their defense. It's not like Trevor Lawrence plays defense. I mean, if he played defense, I don't see them doing much either. But he's back on offense. So everybody's saying we only won because of Trevor not being there, and I strongly disagree. DJ Uiagalelei, the true freshman, actually out of St. John Bosco, out here in California, threw for 435 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 plus touchdowns actually. He threw for the most passing yards against the Notre Dame defense ever. Now, I'm not saying Trevor would have done. It's not like Trevor's going to go in there and throw for 700 passing yards. It's just not going to happen. The key to this game is Notre Dame has to make Clemson one-dimensional again. Force Etienne to 26 yards again. He had 18 carries for 26 yards. And make sure you stop him out of the backfield as well. But make Trevor throw the ball. I'm fine with it. He could throw the ball is the same as DJ. He could throw for 400 or 345 yards, 435 yards, whatever it is, and 2 plus touchdowns. And if we do the same thing, we're winning this game. That's all I'm going to say. We have arguably a better running back. No, I won't say arguably because Etienne has established himself as one of the best running backs in the country and one of the best receiving backs in the country. The reason he came back and decided to stay at Clemson was to work on his receiving ability. He could have gone out last year and maybe been a mid-second, early third round pick. But he decided to come back and decided to work on his hands, which has significantly panned out for Clemson and Travis Etienne, who is now, I think, projected going late first, early second. But he has 758 yards and 12 touchdowns on 150 carries. Kyren Williams for the Irish is at 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns on 180 carries. So, comparison, Kyren Williams looks better running. Etienne has 400 more receiving yards and 3 more touchdowns than Kyren Williams does. So, kind of even. Javon McKinley is your leading receiver for the Irish at 660 yards and 3 touchdowns on 37 receptions on the year. All 3 of those touchdowns came last week against Syracuse for Javon. Or not last week, actually. It was 2 weeks ago now. And the leading receiver for the Clemson Tigers is Amari Rodgers at 845 yards, 6 touchdowns on 61 receptions. This game's at 1 o'clock Pacific time. But watch it. I do see. So I didn't even get into the predictions here. Over. I do see Notre Dame winning. I do. I think we make him one-dimensional again, make him throw the ball, and even if he does the same thing, I still think we're going to win this game. I think Ian Book's going to go back at it and do the same thing he did, except maybe not fumble the football. And I think we're going to run the ball again very well. I don't know how big that linebacker is going to be. Because when you think about it, Brett Venables' kid, who is the defensive coordinator for the Clemson Tigers, his son was that backup linebacker, and he was the one that forced that fumble when Ian Book was scrambling possibly into the end zone. He was the one that forced that fumble late in the game to what looked like have sealed it. But Notre Dame got the ball back, and the rest is history. But I do see Notre Dame winning. I will take the over, and I do see Notre Dame covering. Yes, I am a Notre Dame fan. You may think that's biased. It's either way. Notre Dame's in the playoff either way, and Clemson has to win. So they got a little extra incentive to win this game. Notre Dame's got an extra incentive to prove that we can play in a conference if we wanted to. I wanna win an ACC championship game. So I want to win. But I do think Notre Dame will win. I will take the over, and I will see Notre Dame covering. I do think it'll be a very, very close game, though. I don't think it'll be a blowout. On to the SEC championship game. You have number 1 Alabama at 10-0 taking on number 7 Florida, who is 8-2. Florida coming off a late embarrassing loss to LSU. LSU is a 5-loss team, I think, this year. And they beat Florida Florida missed a 51-yard field goal at the end of the game. That was to tie it. So they missed it and lost the game. And they only moved down to 1 spot in the playoff rankings. So they should have dropped out of the top 10, but Ohio State shouldn't even be in the top 10. So there's a lot of teams that really shouldn't be where they are, but because of the circumstances, because of the program history, they got to put them higher just to... The over-under on this game is 74.5. It's 74.5. You're saying each team's got to score 37-plus points. To win this game. I did look at a report because I had to see if Kyle Pitts, who is the Florida Gators tight end and arguably the best tight end in the country, who is Kyle Trask's favorite target, by the way. I needed to see if he was going to play. I don't know what he's out with, but he didn't play last week against LSU, and that's probably why they lost, even though their defense didn't play very well. But I did read a report, and it sounds like he is like a game-time decision. They don't know yet. He said he had a good week. Dan Mullen, who's the head coach of the Florida Gators, said he had a good week at practice, and that they need him if they're going to have... let's just say this. I don't think they have a chance. They're going to need him if they try to cover. The over on this game is 74.5. I see Alabama scoring 40+, right? But I don't see Florida scoring 30+. So I'm going to take the under, surprisingly. I mean, it's a 74.5 over-under, so I'm taking the under. I don't see Florida scoring 30. I don't even see them scoring 20, I don't think. The spread on this game is 17 in favor of Alabama. Alabama does cover. This is one of those games like the Ohio State game where it's really not going to be that close. But with the number 7 ranking next to Florida's name, it's going to make Alabama's win look way better. And it's going to make the playoff committee realize that Florida ain't all that they want them to be. The reason Iowa State's at 6. I mean, they're a 2-loss team, for God's sake. So, they're saying Iowa State's better than Florida right now, is what they're saying. And arguably, I would love to see that game be played because I couldn't tell you who's going to win that game. That's it for the conference championship games. I'm probably going to try and do an NFL video like immediately after this one, just so I can enjoy my conference championship Sunday or Saturday. But if I don't, expect the video come out Sunday morning. Watching it, but I think there is some decent games. You want to watch every single game, but the games I think all of them are different times. So you can all watch every game, but I would say Oklahoma, Iowa State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oregon, USC tonight. So in a half hour. But I managed to keep it under 20 minutes, or it's going to be a little over because I'm going to talk. But conference championship week this week, and then you have the college football playoff selection show on Tuesday, leading up to the New Year's Day Bowls or the New Year's Six Bowls, which are and the playoffs, actually the first round of the semifinals of the playoffs, which is January 1st, which is the Rose Bowl, which will probably get moved, by the way. That's a topic I will go into really quickly. Brian Kelly, the head coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, came out and said today in a press conference that they're thinking about not, if they get put in the Rose Bowl, they're thinking about not even playing because they're not California's in total lockdown. They're not going to allow fans, or not even going to allow parents. And Brian Kelly said, we might not play if we're not allowed to have our parents there. Because what's a playoff game with no parents? And I agree with that. And then everybody's making it look like Brian Kelly's the bad guy, and they make him look like they don't want to be in the playoff. But at the end of the day, he went on and said, why can't you just move it? Like, can't you just move it to, like, Vegas or something? Just move it somewhere where our parents can be there. So he's not the bad guy here. Yes. So that is the Rose Bowl and the All-State Sugar Bowl, which Notre Dame did play in 2 years ago when they made the playoff against Clemson and got boat raced. But, you know. All right, that's going to be it for me. I am going to try and pump out a NFL video right now, so I'm going to end it right here. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. Some good games. Make sure you watch all of them. Try and put the two NFL games on the back burner, unless like the Northwestern Oklahoma games I don't even know if they're playing at the same time. I know the Denver game's at 1:30 and the Carolina Green Bay game's at 5. So during the Notre Dame game and the Alabama Florida game. So if you get bored watching Alabama hammer on Florida, you can go over to that game. But I would say put those games on the back burner. Watch your conference championship games and save the NFL for Sunday. All right, that's going to be it for me. Thanks guys for watching as always. Yeah, and have fun watching football this weekend. Everybody have a good, safe Christmas break and try and stay responsible. I know it's going to be hard because nobody wants to wear masks and stuff like that, but still got to do it. Still got to try and be safe, and So everybody stay safe. Hope you all have a great... I will see you guys probably before Christmas, but I will say it anyway. Hope you guys have a great Christmas. And I will see you before New Year's, but I will also say it. Hope you guys have a great New Year's as well. All right, peace, guys.